Hello and welcome everyone to November's Fic Night, hosted by hpfanfictalk.com, aka HPFT. I am Kevin, aka Title Dragon, the gamekeeper at HPFT, and your regular Fic Night host. And this month, we're actually switching back to original fiction. It's a very special piece that was written by one of our members, Barbara, aka potionspartner, that focuses on, as the end of the title says, a day in the life of a child with autism. And the goal of the story is really to show us an idea of what's going on inside the mind of that child. The story is I Hate Multicolored Days, a day in the mind of a child with autism. And we're actually going to be reading by Barbara, who has been kind enough to join us to answer some questions about the story and provide us some insights as well after we're done reading. If you see somebody creeping in the background of this video, my son Ryan has decided to camp out here in the what we'll call the creative studio to join us for Fic Night, and I'm sure he'll be bouncing around from time to time as he works on his own little story about Captain Marvel. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to reading the actual story, which is I Hate Multicolored Days, a day in the mind of a child with autism by Barbara, aka Potion's partner. When I was in kindergarten, the teacher read us a story called My Many Colored Days. I hate many colored days. I hated that book, too. At the tender age of 5, I didn't understand why. Now, 6 years later, I do. It doesn't matter because the multicolored days still come. I try to stop them, I really do. Some days I'm successful, and other days, not so much. This Monday morning, I woke up and could immediately tell that it was a green day. I buried my face into my Harry Potter pillowcase and smiled. Green days are good. The bustling sounds of the kitchen moved up the stairs. It wasn't too loud. If I still wanted to sleep, I could have pulled my super soft Hogwarts blanket over my head to muffle out the clattering dishes. But today, I was too excited. Today was my first day of camp. Harry Potter camp. On the breakfast table was French toast. French toast is orange. Where are my waffles? I ask. Waffles are green. Oh, honey. My mom stops her morning rush and turns to me. I didn't realize that we're out of waffles until I opened the freezer this morning. After camp, we'll swing by the grocery stores and get your flour and your chocolate chips to make more, okay? No, it's not okay. I wanted to yell. Didn't she know that chocolate chip waffles were green? I stabbed the French toast with my fork as I practiced my breathing. Green. 1, 2, 3. Green. 1, 2, 3. Everyone else has finished breakfast and rushed around the house, giving me a moment to enjoy the solitude of the table. I ignore the world as it bustles around me until her voice pulls me in from my delectable fog. Honey, go get dressed. We don't want to be late. No, of course we don't. Tardiness is red, like apples and broccoli. Upstairs, I carefully pull my favorite Quidditch shirt from the drawer and start to pull it over my head. Just then, I notice a book on the floor. I meant to finish that last night. I wonder what happened next. I pick up a book, glancing at the cover. Then I opened it to the first page. Suddenly, Mom is there. Her face looks angry. I can tell when a face is angry. Anger is easy. So is happy, sad, upset, disappointment. These are harder. People say you can see those in faces too, but all I see is a face. Why is she angry? Are you dressed yet? I've told you 5 times to get dressed. She did. I remember her telling me once at the breakfast table. You need to step on it or we'll be late, she demands. Slowly, I look around. What does she want me to step on? The floor? The bed? I'm still trying to determine what to step on when she throws a striped shirt and shorts at me. Get dressed now! Suddenly, the room turns blue. The carpet, the walls, the bed. My brother's favorite color is blue. Mine is green, and I hate striped shirts. She begins to tug that shirt over my head. No, not that one, I scream. Fine, she snarls, but be ready in 2 minutes, and marches away. She is getting angry, or maybe it's exasperated, or maybe it's annoyed. It doesn't matter. They're all red. I find my Quidditch shirt in a pile on the floor and desperately yank it over my head. I haven't even left the house and the day is blue. Harry Potter camp is in a building I've never seen before. It's tall and ominous. I like that word ominous. Ominous sounds ominous. New things are never green. They may turn green, but they never start out green. The building is blue and orange. The camp is horrible. There are all of these kids running around, screaming. I sit quietly, proving I'm old enough. I can go to this camp just like my older brother did last year, but the noises won't stop. I try to remind myself that Gryffindors are brave, and I'm a Gryffindor. Still, the noise makes me want to curl up into a ball. I put my hands over my ears and bring my knees up to my chin. No one notices. The adults just stand there talking to each other, writing on sheets of paper, asking some kids questions. Flashes of yellow and orange dance across my eyes. Finally, as they settle down, so do the colors of the day. Never quite go back to green, but stay a steady bluish yellow. Now, I know what you color wheel fanatics are thinking. Bluish yellow is the same as green. I can certifiably testify that they aren't. I love the color green. I don't like bluish yellow, but I'll deal with it. At the midpoint of camp, we have snack time. My mom accidentally packed me a fork instead of a spoon to eat my applesauce. I know it was a mistake. I keep muttering my parents' mantra over and over to myself. Mistakes are okay. Mistakes are okay. My parents and teacher tell me this all the time, but I know they are wrong. It's a bit like that phrase people like to say, do as I say, not as I do. People say mistakes are okay, but they also let you know that they aren't. Sometimes they laugh and point at you. Sometimes a flash of dismay crosses their faces. Sometimes it's a stern, well, clean it up, young man, or no, that's not the right answer. People are always happier when you are perfect. They aren't happy when you make mistakes. You are only good when you are perfect. Snack time is over. Camp returns. They promised us wands, but mine feels like a stick. They promised us Quidditch, but the brooms never leave the ground. They promised us a snitch, but it's just a kid in a yellow shirt. The entire world is yellow. These people want to eat me, I told Mom at the end of my Harry Potter torture session. Mom rolls her eyes. We don't live in a society of cannibals, she explains. We've had the conversation so many times before, and she never takes me seriously. What in the world do cannibals have to do with people wanting to eat me? Why can't the world just leave me alone? Mom suggests Zippies for lunch, and I jump up and down in excitement. I love Zippies. I love the hamburgers. I love their fries, and I love their playground. My day is starting to turn green again, so I flap my arms in excitement and bounce toward the car, ignoring those that stare at me as I move through the parking lot. They obviously don't know Zippy's. Zippy's is awesome, as usual. It's a bit overcrowded, but I can handle it. The hamburger is perfect, double ketchup, no mustard. Ketchup is the only red thing I like. I dip my fries in honey as my mother reminds me to use proper table manners. Within minutes, my meal is done. I slurp up some milk and glance into the carton. Only 3 sips left. Perfect for after I play. Mom, may I go to the playground? I asked. Are you finished eating? She replies. I nodded once and scoot off toward the playroom. Inside is busier than outside. There are a lot of children, most of them younger than me. I try to ignore them, but they aren't good at following the rules. One boy was really bad. I kept reminding him of the rules, but he ignored me. You have to take your shoes off first. He ignored me and scampered up the ladder. It's not nice to push people in the tubes. He ignored me and shoved to get by. You can't climb up on the slide, I finally yelled at him as I'm trying to slide down and he's running into me. His father comes by. You relax, kid. He's only 2 years old. Just because the boy is 2 doesn't mean he gets to break all of the rules. Why have rules if certain people are allowed to break them all the time? I scowl at the man. He's wearing a red shirt. Red shirt ruler breaker. The playground is getting noisier. It's also turning very orange. Orange is not good. It's close to red. Honey, are you ready to go? My mom calls into the play area. I nodded and grabbed my shoes. Mom, I'm ready to go home. She nods and studies me. Do you want to stop and get the chocolate chips to make waffles? I shake my head no, biting my lip. By now, the entire world is orange. There isn't a hint of yellow or blue in it. She bends down and rubs my head. Are you ready for some downtime? Again, I nod, just hoping she would hurry up. All of the sudden, Zippy's feels like a suffocating bomb that is about to explode. We weave in and out of people. Why are there so many people? Why are they always in my way? These people want to eat me. We had just reached the door when I remembered I needed to finish the last 3 sips of my milk after playing. Mom, where's my milk? She turns around, giving me a strange look. Oh, honey, I thought you were done, so I threw it away. My jaw dropped as my eyes rest on the trash can next to me. She threw it away. My milk. What right did she have to throw my milk away? I make a grab for the trash can, but she holds me back. Honey, we'll get some milk when we get home. No, I yell as I struggle in her arms. I need those 3 sips. It was the perfect amount of milk. We can get in line and get you another one, she suggested. I want my milk. My milk. Mine! I screamed at her. She looks me straight in the eyes. I need you to calm down. You are losing it. You need to gain control. Can you do this for me? Her hazel eyes stare intently on me, and I really try. I think about being a Gryffindor, about showing everyone how grown up I've become, how I can master my temper. And then my mind wanders to the orange French toast, to the blue striped shirt, to the blue building and the yellow camp, to the orange rules that I have to follow and the other kids don't, to my milk that was thrown away without my permission. No, no, no! I scream as I back away, hands over my ears. Something bumps into me and I whirl around and lash out at it, kicking, punching, biting, anything I can get near. Everyone hates me and wants me to die. My last thought is of my mother trying to get her arms around me. Then my world goes red. Screaming, yelling, anger, pain. So much pain in my head. When I try to open my eyes, all I see is red. And then the pain continues, in my head, and now in my heart too. I've done it again. I've lost control. This time it wasn't just in front of my parents or my brother. It was in front of my teachers. It was in front of the entire world. Tears, so many tears sliding down my face. Finally, I opened my eyes. The world isn't so red. It's not really any color I can describe. It's the color of regret. I wasn't perfect. The trash can was tipped over. Trash is everywhere. All around me, feet and up to my knees like I was sliding in it. A turned over chair is nearby. Around us are people. Several in Zippy's shirts and a few others. They are either gawking at me or pretending to ignore me. I'm not sure which is worse. I look up at my mom. We're lying on the floor of Zippy's. Her arms are around me. She's shaking like a leaf and tears are flowing down her face, too. We both just stare at each other, allowing the water to flow down our cheeks. I'm sorry, Mom, I whispered. The whole world should eat me. I am bad. I shouldn't be loved anymore. For some reason, this makes my mother cry even harder. Honey, she pushes my hair back from my forehead. Do you remember the first rule? No matter what I do, you love me, and so does God. I sobbed into her shoulder. Soothe me. That's right. I love you. You aren't bad. You're a great kid, and tomorrow is a new day. We'll start again tomorrow, okay? Silently, I nod as she stands up and pulls me into a hug. Come on. Keeping her arm around me securely, she holds her head up high, nods to the workers, and apologizes for the disruption. We walk to the car. My mom keeps telling me how much I improve each year. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, she says. Just keep going, 1 foot in front of the other. I hope she's right because someday I want to reach my goal. I'm going to walk straight into rainbows, and I won't be afraid of any of its colors. So, if you are just joining us, this story was I Hate Multicolored Days, a day in the mind of a child with autism. And the story was written by Barbara, aka potionspartner, one of our members at hpfanfic.com, aka HPFT. And Barbara is, I believe, live with us now in the chat. I'm going to reach out to her and welcome her to our stream so that we can go ahead and get some of those questions answered, questions from our end. And if you are with us in the chat, you can go ahead and put forth your questions too, and we'll try to have those answered. And Barbara is with us, so excellent. To start with, what inspired you to write about of a person with autism is our first question. And we're going to have to, of course, since we're going text-based tonight, give a little time for the give and take in chat. It's a great time for anybody who's out there watching with us as well. I know there's a handful of people with us. If you want to send in questions for me to ask Barbara to address about her story, I am, of course, going to be open to kind of sorting through those as we get answers to the questions that I am going to go ahead and put forth in the chat, so that Barbara can go ahead and give us her take on the story, since she is the author. And so, personal experience, Barbara says, is what inspired her to write this story. Um, One of her children actually was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. And so that's certainly given her unique insights into the mind of a child with autism. Um, and one of the things that I found really interesting, in terms just of the I don't want to say the mechanics exactly, but the um, the underlying writing of the story, was the use of color as a indicator of the main character's reaction to his situations that he was in, to different aspects of his world. So, what made you choose color for that, Barbara? And so the genesis behind that, was sort of the natural way that we, as not just authors but humans, characterize emotions as being particular colors, and feeling like that was a good way to show emotion in the story on the part of the main character, as is actually indicated at the beginning of the story, as is indicated in the story summary. Um, its inclusion was also based on the title of the Dr. Seuss book, My Many Colored Days. Um, and I think it was absolutely used very well throughout the story. At these particular moments, one of the moments that jumps out to me was when, at camp, talking about the boy in the yellow shirt and using that to immediately match back to the kind of overall yellow mood that settles in at camp. The distinction between bluish yellow and green on the part of the main character and narrator, um, that shows the distinctions, along with the other descriptions and writing that were included in the story, to show um, the different way of thinking that goes through the mind of someone else, who has different experiences to all of us. Um, One of the other questions that I had was about the um, the sort of progression of the story, and what the challenges were um, in trying to make everything about the experience and placing the reader in that main character's mind. What the biggest challenges were in developing those elements alongside the progression, both forward and backward, if you will, I suppose, through the colors. And so ultimately drawing on those personal experiences with her son, and the challenges that he experienced handling his autism. She said the story, because of that, was relatively easy to write. Um, and his favorite color actually was green. So that's why she started out there and then worked through the colors of the rainbow. And that actually brings out a great point. I, obviously noted the rainbow at the end, thinking that it was just a great conclusion based off of the progression that had gone on throughout the story, as well as the idea of rainbows as almost sort of a symbol of triumph, um, being born, of course, after dealing with the rain. Um, and she said, along with writing the story and doing that progression we were just talking about, she also added some things into the story that were, I guess, viewed as, quote unquote typical of autistic thinking, like taking idioms like "step on it" literally. Um, but to go back to the rainbow for just a second, I actually had not noticed. I noticed all of the colors that kind of progressed through, but I had actually somehow not noticed that we had gone through every color of the rainbow, which is something that we, sorry, not we, but um, I think it makes it even more incredible to me. For me as a reader, and maybe it was possible to tell toward the end of the story, I don't know, but I found the story to be really moving. um, I thought, not just the way that it addressed autism and made it accessible, and maybe more understandable to people who have not had experiences with children, or other individuals with autism, um, I thought it also painted this, this kind of beautiful relationship throughout, um, between the mother and son, and I am assuming that that was also um, drawn on personal experience. And so one of the things that Barbara is sharing, while some other questions or some other folks are joining us um, to join in the conversation, are it sort of I guess a lot of the public perception anyway is that um, it it's this idea that the little things are just what uh, quote unquote sets off. I don't want to use the improper phrase, but actually, as this story shows, and as Barbara wanted to get across, is that those little things, it's more when they add up until it's what looks like one little thing to the rest of us is actually uh, sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back, or the bit of water that breaks the dam. And so we can't necessarily see that from the outside as just an average person because we're not living that experience necessarily. But an absolutely important thing to note in bringing light to the experiences of individuals with autism, and kind of how we need to be more understanding and better understanding of how those things do impact, and that I think it also can be a lesson that you know things are not always as they might appear when it comes to people's autism, or different reasons that people's reactions that may appear overreactions or baseless reactions to us. Um, Often, if you take the time to think about it or to understand it with more depth, uh, actually can be comprehensible, and you can be helpful, or can be helpful to you seeing things from another perspective. We have been joined by a couple of our other members, Paula, aka Paula the Prokaryote, and Deanna, aka Roxy Malfoy, who have stopped in to say hello, and Paula joining me, and I think all of us who have read the story probably in giving some praise to it, because it's absolutely amazing writing, just even above and beyond uh, shedding light like we've talked about. Um, I guess in closing, I would ask Barbara if there's one thing that you would like people to take away from the story itself. Um, what would that one thing be, and how do you recommend um, people um, apply more understanding uh, toward autism? Um, in when they see in the world. And while she's answering for us, I will also sort of jump out for a moment and apologize for my little bit of difficulty here in the adaptation. Just going to chat. I've done it before. It's been a little while, but trying to make it flow organically. I don't think that's been very successful tonight, and I apologize for that to any of our viewers. But hopefully, hopefully you were able to enjoy the story and the reading, and have been able to at least view or will view, be a part of our conversation about this very important, very important. I guess I don't want to say shedding light because I've said that too many times already. But she has come back with a great takeaway, to sort of leave it there. Her biggest thing that she would like for us all to take away is tolerance, and that's absolutely, I think, an amazing message to send out and just into the world today on a lot of subjects. But tolerance, not being judgmental, and her own takeaway was really the teaching that her son gave to her in terms of not judging others because of not knowing what challenges that they face in their own daily lives. And I think, like I was talking about a little bit before, when we were between questions, I think that's the ultimate takeaway from stories like this. Stories that shed light on different experiences and those different challenges. And I want to thank Barbara for sharing this story with us here, for being here live to answer questions for us. It really giving us that extra insight that comes from personal experience with the story. You've shared some absolutely amazing writing with us on the subject and just in general, from a mechanical perspective, Barbara. I'm so appreciative. I know our community is better off for having you part of it. And I want to thank everybody who's tuned in as well to share in our conversation. If you want to see the conversation or be part of the conversation, there will be the ability to relive the live chat as the video is up. If you want to read the story and you have not read the story, the link is in the description. It is I Hate Multicolored Days, A Day in the Mind of a Child with Autism by Barbara, aka potionspartner, and that is hosted on our website, HPFT. The URL is hpfanfictalk.com. If you want to get to all the stories, just slap and /archive on the back of that. But definitely take the time to read this story for yourself. Reading it aloud, I don't think does the writing itself justice necessarily. So definitely take it out. Check it out. And it's been a pleasure to be with you as always. And as always, this is Kevin, aka Titled Dragon, signing off. And I will see you next month with an all new story. Have a great weekend, guys.